Hey! Whoa.
Sorry.
I'm like, wait, did I click it again? I don't know.
No. My bad.
I'm still at that point of like being nervous about touching any kind of technology. Like I don't just look like a caveman. I basically am.
A kind-hearted caveman.
A kind-hearted caveman, yes. So, everybody, welcome. Let's Fix Live. This is week 5. Charlene Brown is with me. She is absolutely amazing. I've been on both of her shows, both Real Talk Live with our Carl Sean Watkins and Sip and Chat with Sri Mahambar. And I know I brutally just murdered that because never enough coffee.
Mahabir, yes.
Mahabir, yes. There's an R in it. People with Boston accents just should be excused from any word with an R in it.
Okay, touche.
Yes. For those of you guys who don't know, she is the Brand Misfit, which I obviously love that brand.
Like, yes, I was gifted that.
Okay. But yeah, like, and I love, and I'm literally going to steal this intro pretty close to right from your website. Like, the champion for other misfits with great businesses who aren't techie enough.
Yes.
Yes. I like, once I was reading it, I'm like, okay, I'm just stealing this verbatim. Like, this is no, like, I don't have to do any editing, any tweaking. Like, you hit it in one sentence. Yes. Is kind of your superpower.
And that's really what branding is really about, right? Sitting down, trying to figure out, okay, everything I do, the passion, what I know, how can I sum all of that up simply so people understand this is what it is and they get it. It's like that click moment. And it's not always simple.
No.
But it just takes that work and understanding. And sometimes you need people around you who can help you, because that's how I got the name, the Brand Misfit. Other people saw it and they were like, oh, everything that I was saying and that I was trying to express, they were like, oh, it's this. I'm like, oh my God.
It's amazing just having somebody with that perspective. Like, I was having that conversation yesterday with the person who's publishing my book. Because that's what I'm lacking. Like, I didn't know when I was writing, when I was going too far in one direction, like over explaining something, repeating something. I had no clue one way or the other.
Yes.
Like, you need that perspective to be able to say, like, hey, this is where things are going wrong.
Yes, exactly. And that's where you get the team. That's where you start networking. And even for me, networking used to be so draining because I was not myself.
No.
Because I had to be that, in a suit. Then I have to try to figure out how do I express myself to people? How do I get them to understand I do web design, but other things without me sounding scattered? So yeah, it used to be a nightmare.
Well, that's the biggest thing with branding now is the idea of authenticity. And that's become, it's another one of those words that kind of has become a buzzword in a way because it's said so often that it kind of has lost value.
Most catchphrases that you need to set on fire.
Like anything, like if you could picture yourself in just a generic Thursday afternoon meeting, if you can say, well, we need to get our branding right. We need to be more authentic. We need to add value. Like, you could say those at any point during any meeting ever.
Yes. And then people are like, oh, okay. And most often they're just pretending to understand what it is because it's still so broad. Like
Yes.
we talked about it earlier. Branding is so broad. It
Yes.
took me almost 4 years to recognize that web design was part of branding, but a smaller part, right? Branding is so big.
Hmm.
But then branding was still part of another larger container, which was marketing. So it
Yes.
just like when people keep niching things out of a larger container, and you hear it a lot, but then no one ever makes that connection back to the larger container. So you're just like, oh, I'm just floating out here by myself randomly. I'm just so authentically me. And I'm like, no, you're still connected to a bigger,
Yeah.
there like nothing is a silo. And that's
No.
what I had to really learn.
But that's the trickiest part is in business, we have become more and more siloized over
Yeah,
and over again. Like we've drawn these battle lines, like even like for me, I'm just thinking about in sales, we have siloized sales itself by turning people into sales development reps, into AEs, into customer success. It used to be one person for
right,
all of it.
right.
And like marketing has become such a crazy thing now too, because like the analytics side of it is fairly new. Like being tracked to KPIs is fairly new for marketing. It's all it's a brand new world out there for you guys.
Yeah, and I think that's part of where now you had so many people competing with each other,
Yes.
but there was no need to do that. Like if I'm doing a website, I technically could do everything on that.
Yes.
But if I could bring in a team and someone focuses just on the analytics, someone else focuses just on the SEO, someone
Yes.
else goes and gets the brand assets,
Mhm.
meaning they just monitor to make sure that the graphics are looking good, all of the fonts are looking good, because
Yeah.
not every aspect of technology can bring in your own font. People purchase their own fonts. We could do
Yeah.
that, right? That adds to our brands being more unique. But not every platform will allow you to do that. So you have to still find most Google or generic fonts that can fit your brand. So you still need someone to come in and help monitor your brand assets, monitor the brand look and feel. And that doesn't need a competition. It needs a team.
Yeah.
So you still need to understand that as a team, we are all under the marketing umbrella. So as long as we are here, the voice needs to be the same. Our look needs to be the same. We all need to be in the same party. You can do your different dance moves. That's cute, but we're all at the same party, right?
Yeah. I dance like a 8-year-old with a sparkler. So let's keep dancing out of this.
And that's fine. So you could be
No,
the
no, it
one
is
to bring
not.
people inside.
Yes. No, no, no. That is not fine. Nothing about my dancing is fine. But I love how you're bringing all of this in because when I'm thinking about this, like the analytics person, the graphic design person, all of this, these are drastically different personalities that are good with all of this. And
Yes.
how do you bring all of that together? All those different like genres of marketing. I get that doesn't
Mhm.
feel like quite the right word, but it's the best one I'm coming up with at the moment.
Right. And the only thing that really brings them together is the goal. What's
Yeah.
the ultimate goal of everything that we're supposed to do? And the goals change in all of our
Mhm.
businesses. So
Yeah.
if your goal is to increase your email awareness and get people on that email list, then everything that everyone does should be pointing back to that. So that's where the call to actions come in. That's
Yes.
where the videos are coming in. People do their podcasts, and of course in the podcast you have your promos. Hey, make sure you hit the email list and things like that. Like all of those come back to that singular, what's the ultimate goal? If it's brand awareness, if it's your email list, if it's sales, you, as long as we are all working together for the same goal, we can do what we need to do to get it there.
Because that's something that's really interesting to me because as I've consulted with a lot of businesses, it seems like each department has separate goals almost all of the time. Like, what are some of the ways that you use to get people all on the same strategy?
Well, what I like besides making sure that we know, okay, if we're going to do sales, let's do sales. Now, the next purpose would be, all right, how do you want to do the sales? Because if you are, let's say you're part of the the social media campaigns, right?
Yes.
Then all the social media campaigns, are we all doing video? Or if you're on Facebook, are you only going to focus on the lives? And then Instagram, you're focusing on reels because
Hmm.
that's the popular thing there. And then
Yes.
maybe on TikTok, you're focusing on something else. Then that's where the specialty comes in. So if you have someone who specializes on a certain platform, they should know what to do on that platform to still accomplish the goal of making the sales or building the email list. And then it's the same thing for a blogger. If your specialty is blogging, then every time you put out an article, what's the next thing that you should be doing at the end of your blog or throughout the blog is directing people back to getting on that email list or making a sale or something. Or maybe your blogs are about the next product that we have, and
Yes.
you're showing people how to do that. So then in unison, what everyone would do is talk about the product. So
Yeah.
the video people would have the product. We make sure that you have maybe customers who use the product, and that's how you get people who are watching you to not only hear about it but see it in action.
Yeah.
And then the blogger would talk about it and probably take snippets from the video creators and put that on the blog to say, hey, make sure you check in and tune in on the socials to get the videos. And like that's how everybody works together, but
Yeah.
you're doing it your special way, but still getting the same goal.
Yeah, because I would love your opinion. Like, I know where I'm thinking, and I'm
Yes.
willing to go first. But what are your thoughts on Angela's question, where she's asking, "Wouldn't it all be sales?"
No, it would all be conversions, but they would
Hmm.
not all be sales.
Yeah.
So depending on, because sometimes salespeople, they have that goal of financial, like sales for
Mhm.
me, I always connect it to a financial end, but
Yeah.
conversions can be anything. Conversions is just getting someone to do what you need them to do. So you need them to click on that button and
Hmm.
add themselves to your email list. You need them to click on that button and buy that ebook or get that jacket or buy that concert ticket.
Yeah.
So it depends on what it is that you need them to do or join your webinar. So
Yeah.
it's really all conversions, but I wouldn't say that they're all sales.
Yeah, because and for me, when I'm hear that question, I'm thinking sales has the same issue as branding, where it's become such a ballooned topic overall,
Right.
that like you have people like Grant Cardone out there saying everything is sales. If you want your kid to go to sleep at 9 o'clock, you need to sell him on that idea. Like it's become this like bloated idea.
Mhm.
We've made too much about sales, and we have to narrow our scope in order to grow and get good at what we're doing because we're trying to prioritize everything.
Mhm.
I'm a like maybe what you're selling isn't an actual dollar value. Maybe it's an appointment, maybe it's getting their email, maybe, but you're asking of something from value from them. Um, is it sales? Yes, but again, the problem is sales is too bloated.
Right.
It's really like almost like, okay, if you're seeing an oncologist, you have cancer, but what kind of cancer? How is it spread? What stage? There's a lot of sub questions underneath
Right.
too. Yes.
Right. Because even with that, they're all different. There's a different component,
Yeah.
but there's a singular thing about them that all puts them in the cancer category. So it will be
Yes.
the same thing with what we're discussing here.
Yeah. Because this is something, and I love. I'm going to bring up Shannon's point too, but we have become we've it's part of it is SEO, and I'm going to say that, and I'm going to blame it on that anyway, because so many people credit their problems towards sales, towards branding, towards marketing, and
Mhm.
those are such big terms that we all use in order to get people to our websites because that's what people are searching for.
Right.
But we're really just we have to look at those as umbrella terms that don't really answer anything.
True, very
Yeah.
true. And when it comes to, how do you get people as a service-based business on your email list? I'm service-based as well, Shannon.
Yep.
And it's really about now how do we show people why should they work with us? Give them those answers or give them possible solutions,
Yes.
and then allow them to say, hey, if this sounds like you, hit up my email list. I have some more strategies. But even for that, I had to learn not to give them everything, because I'm a person, I'll give you, I'll tell you all my stuff, right?
Yes.
But I had to learn part of the nuance to get people interested is to let them see enough, but now you want me to do it, work with me.
You could only give out free samples for so long.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Even Costco runs out.
yeah, exactly. Like there's got to be that point where you're like, okay, and that doesn't mean that I'm not willing to give you a lot of it for free, but there's got to be a point where you say, okay, I'm not here for free consulting.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And that's something that's really a tough time to know, because I'm not as big of a relationship based salesperson. I'm much more trust based salesperson. And there's the difference.
Mhm.
I love my wife. I wouldn't trust her to perform surgery on me. Like,
Yeah.
you're one of my favorite people, but that doesn't mean I want you to do, I don't know, like
Like I wouldn't fix your car.
no. Well,
Right.
yeah, but that's the idea, is what
Mhm.
you need to do is build trust, and that's character plus competency. I can show my character over and over by offering you those things, but there's got to be a point where you say, no, this is my business, this is what I get paid to do, and use that competence lever and say,
Right.
no, this is my expertise.
Right, because I started even for especially for like an email list, right? It's
Yes.
it's like, okay, what do I send people? And that was my whole thing for years. I have
Yes.
a list, people are getting on the list. Now what do I say to them? And it was more of, okay, now is a perfect time to not only reintroduce myself, but actually let them know what my skills are. Why am
Mhm.
I so competent? And give them those tidbits. So not only do I give you strategies, I tell you, hey, after 22 years, this is what I've learned. This is what's worked. This has not worked. But hey, I also have a blog where I go into details. So I use the email list as a strategy to get people back to the blog. And my blog has
Mhm.
always been growing. So
Mhm.
I've never had a problem with that. But that was groundwork that I put in years ago. I've been
Yes.
blogging for years. So think of me launching my website 2014. I've been blogging since then.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of now let me improve. And that's the continuing of improving, learning, adding to the strategy and putting it in action. So
Yes.
my website and my blog have always been fine. Now it was about, because I told you I had to take your course, because I was like, now how do I sell this stuff? Like
Yes.
how do I promote? And it's always been a thing for me, especially as an introvert. How do I promote without me being salesy, or without me feeling uncomfortable, or without me feeling out of place?
Mhm.
And that's where all the strategies that I've finally sat down and really been able to put in motion
Yeah.
have come together.
Yeah, and there's no one thing that's going to work for every service-based
Right.
business, because it's pretty safe to say we're a service-based economy right now. Like, most of the things that we sell, I mean, look at the SaaS world alone, software as a service. Pretty much,
Mhm.
unless you're selling an actual tangible good, almost everything is probably 60% of our economy is service-based.
Right.
It's so let's get back to the email side of things, because I actually love that question, because it's such a massive thing. How do you keep your emails fresh? How do you keep it aligned with your brand, with what you're talking about? Make it relevant, like, kind of give me the walkthrough for that.
Yeah, I sat myself down and I looked through all the content that I had, because I've been creating for so long. And I said to myself, okay, how can I make this something that's bite sized? Because
Hmm.
that's the point. I
Yep.
even when I get newsletters, I look at them or emails, and I look at them. I'm just like, okay, is this too long? Like, am I really reading that? And I have to think not just for how I operate, but what would other people want in their inboxes?
Hmm.
And because of that, I said, let me just take tidbits and pieces of what it is. Treat it like like even with social media, just give them like that taster,
Yeah.
right? Just give them a little taste and let them see and if they like it, they'll click. If they don't,
Yes.
they won't.
Yeah.
And that's how I do it. And emails are a great way also to just play around, test
Yeah.
things out. And that's how you'll know what's working, what's not working. And then you, of course, look at your analytics through the email and like how many people are opening it, how many people are clicking through,
Hmm.
what is going on. Are they opting out? Why might they opt out? And then, of course, reach out. Hey, saw that you opted out. Would you like to tell me why or whatever? You could or you can't,
Yeah.
either way, but it's really about learning and then learning about them and why do they like what they like. And
Yeah.
that allows you to now perfect what you do moving forward to get more people on.
Yes. So, what I also like with all of that is when you're trying to talk to people, actually knowing the people you're talking to
Yeah.
and having your own voice that's going to resonate with them. Like you have to see your email list and your ideal customers as your invisible best friend in my mind.
Hmm.
Like you need to know exactly who you're talking to, so you're not just talking to your email list, you're talking to John, who's your ideal customer or whatever it is.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
once you do that, your writing will become so much more personalized as opposed to just, well, let's try writing this. Like, actually write it to your ideal customer.
Exactly. And then seeing how so many of my clients would come to me and the questions that they would have,
Mhm.
that's what also helped me be able to write to people because I was like, oh, you know what? Let me act like I'm writing to this particular
Yes.
client because this is what they were struggling with, and
Yeah.
and see if anyone else resonates with that.
And pulling it back to the branding side of things, your brand is the problems you solve for people in a lot of ways. Like,
Yes.
like your brand is about fixing something. Any kind of sale is about fixing a problem. Otherwise, you don't have the right to ask for a sale.
Correct, correct. And then you have to get down and be comfortable about what is it about what you want to fix.
Hmm.
And if the problem that you are good at, because maybe you're really great at something, but you don't have a passion about it, because when the more you're getting it, that's why so many people jump out of graphic design, because the actual work behind it and the back and forth, it's hard. It's super hard to really tune in to people's emotions and feelings when it comes to graphics,
Hmm.
because there's so many different things that they could like or they don't like. And if they have not done the work to understand what their businesses is, or what their love is, what their passion is, how do they want to look towards other people, to the public, then it's hard for you to now build around that and bring the visual to that. Because
Yes.
a lot of people will tell you the first thing, oh, I don't know what I like. And it's like, no, 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 no.
No, no,
You
we can't.
know, you're
Yeah.
scared. I don't know what it is, but at least you know what you don't like.
Yeah. Like, even a simple question when you're going into it is, what brands do you identify with? Like,
Yeah.
I'm never going to be a Gucci kind of person. It's just not who I am. I'm a very, like, if I had to say who I'm like, I'm a DeWalt human kind of person. Like, that's just how I am. Like, once you understand the brands that you really identify with, you can mimic what you're looking for too.
Exactly, exactly. And that's the only thing that, if anything, bare minimum in branding. Just
Yes.
find what resonates with you. How do you move? And sometimes it's a personal thing. If because as much as we use our personal brands, we still want to say, okay, I'm building a business around
Mhm,
that, or I'm building a business that somehow relates to me.
mhm.
So you may not be your brand, but you're influencing your brand in one way or another.
Yes. Actually, I want to kind of challenge that because I don't necessarily care what my brand is, or how what I identify with. I should care about what my ideal customer identifies with. Where are they go? Like, what brands do they love, and mimic it from there. And that's probably the best way to start building everything, is not asking what you like, but what your, you know, my ideal customer's name, my invisible best friend's name is Sarah.
Mhm.
What does Sarah like?
And I like that. I like that option. But what
Yeah.
the reason why I say think about how you want your brand to be perceived is
Mhm,
because the way you want, just like for me,
mhm,
I love to be relaxed. I love to be
mhm,
laid back and chill.
mhm,
But when I go to people, I'm looking at myself and I have to think, well, how are they going to perceive me as well? Because
mhm.
when I first start out, I don't know who my ideal client is yet,
Yes.
because like for me, I didn't work with anybody yet. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to discount people.
Mhm,
But once I started to work with more people, I was like, okay, I love coaches. I love consultants. I know how they move. I know what they like and they don't like. For the most part, it's easier for me to have those conversations.
yeah.
But even then, When I now speak and I appear on my photos, I appear in video, how did I want to dress? How did I want to appear? How did I want to speak? That was where I needed to come to terms
Yes.
for me. And that's where my business and me collided, because I could not get comfortable enough to say, I can just, show up like this. I didn't
Yeah.
have to be in a suit.
No.
And then my clients, who I now know who to talk to and how and who do I want to speak to, now I know that I can say to them, this is me.
Yes.
So even if they're corporate, I don't have to be, but I want to be comfortable enough for myself that they can be comfortable hiring someone who's not corporate.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the only thing that I would say where you should at least have something of how do you want to be perceived to people. And then everything else you can, because brandings always evolve. So you can
Yes.
always change along the way, but you need to know where to start.
It's like the person I'm thinking of right now is Gary Vee, and he has his problematic areas, but he is able to go into any environment at all in sneakers and a Jets hoodie because that's who he is and that's how he's comfortable. Like, it doesn't matter how big the deal is, he can still do that. And it comes across as, again, authentic is kind of one of those buzzwords, but that's who he is as a natural person.
Right. And folks accepted it, but and one of the main reasons why they accepted is because he said, look, this is me.
And
This
he
is
did
how I'm
such
going
a
to do
good
it.
job early on of bringing everything that he did down to earth. Like when he was explaining wines on Wine TV, he says this
Yeah.
one tastes like Skittles, it tastes like Fruit Loops, it tastes like bringing it down to earth where it's not this like notes of black currants. I couldn't pick a black currant out of a lineup.
Right. Right. And
Like I could,
even his tech was very basic, and
yeah,
he always says that. So even now, when you see him now, he always tells people, hey, you don't have to be where I am now.
no.
Look at back where I was. Start where I was. It's okay.
Like it's to understand that everybody has those blind spots and it's okay. Like I remember my wife came home like with groceries and I'm like, wow, you found some big ass oranges, and my wife was like, that's a grapefruit. Like I may have scurvy, I'll just go that far.
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
but yeah, like I was completely like, how'd you find an orange this big? It's a grapefruit. Like, we didn't eat grapefruit growing up.
But yeah, it's really, as long as you can be that comfort
Yes.
for yourself, it becomes, you're not thinking about that anymore. So
Yeah.
you now giving that information, sharing your skill set
Mhm.
and sharing your knowledge with people, helping people, you're out of your mind. I know for me that stopped me a lot, because I'll be like, okay, well, I
Yeah.
mean, am I saying things right? Oh wait, I messed up a word. Did they hear me? Or I thought about something, but I'm thinking I did it. I told them out of order, and I'm like, you know what? It's okay. I'll
Yeah.
just say, hey, yeah, I'm not going in order, but these are some things I can give you, and these are some things I think you should think about.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Now I'm relaxed. I'm not like, in my, because internally you're going crazy and people are looking at you like, are you all right?
Yeah. So I want to grab Angela's question here because, like, she's been waiting a little while, but I did want to curtail the conversation because I liked where we were mining. What, like, what are your initial thoughts on this? And then I'll kind of jump into mine to let you fall on the sword as you want to. Put you right on that spot.
All right. Well, I go to the platform that I'm using. So currently I'm in Active Campaign, and I use their analytics. Why not?
Yeah.
That's the best place for me to find out how am I performing from
Mhm.
here.
Yeah.
And then anything else, I would use Google Analytics to see
Mhm.
how people are flowing through my forms,
Mhm.
how many people are hitting that particular page with that form, and then I try to bring them both together to see, okay, what's happening? Am I missing? Who am I missing? I see people are dropping. Why? And then that allows me now to either market more
Mhm.
or do more explaining, either on the page or while I'm bringing people over there, explain to them things that they can expect from me or from that site or anything like that. But I always, for me, I start off with the platform that I'm using my emails from.
Yeah. For me, but I'm going to give the complete cop out answer that I always like to give. There is no best. Period. There is no best. It's up to what you're comfortable with. I always, when I talk to people about CRMs, I tell them it's like a pair of shoes.
Mhm.
Salesforce is a great CRM. HubSpot is a great CRM, but they're so massive in scope that they're too big and too cumbersome for some people.
Right.
So find the one that fits you, that fits your business. Are you looking for, if you're looking for more video, you may want to look into like a bomb kind of solution, something that's more video focused. If you want something that gives you like live open times, that has that too. HubSpot is great as a CRM slash email. There's so many good answers, but you really
Mhm.
have to step back and realize what is your goal, like what we were saying earlier on in this
Right.
call. Like,
Right.
is your goal click-through rate? Is it a call to action? Or are people buying directly off your email? Or is it a call to conversation where you're trying to set up a talk first?
Right.
There's no one size fits all for everybody. For you, Angela, because I saw your like the comment with the nuts and bolts and the service, you're there to do something custom. You're not just selling bins and racks and that kind of stuff. You're selling that service of organization. So you're not just doing it as a, well, buy these tools. You're selling the consultation so that you're not commoditized.
Right.
So
Right. Exactly.
your email solution is going to be much more call to conversation based as opposed to call to action, buy 50 tubs, buy this rolling rack. It's a different kind of solution.
Yeah, and I would even venture into saying, because depending on how you're using your email list, that's a perfect time too to explain maybe one or two of the solutions, but dedicate your emails to one solution each. So let's
Yes.
say you have a series that goes out, and you have 3, 4 emails that go out, and each email, one thing is you're dedicating yourself to explaining one thing.
And that's a perfect thing too, because like I'm working on a 13-week course, and I'm probably going to start doing an email series based on those 13 weeks, where I have week one topic, week two, week three, week four, week five, and now I could just rotate those on my email list.
Yeah.
And now I'm just talking about those 13 things 4 times over the course of 52 weeks. Like I write a new email, but I know what my topic is each week.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that's how you build a brand, is by repeatedly talking about how you solve these same problems over and over and over and over again. And
Yeah.
that's how you do problem-based selling.
Yes, and I have one like with the hire a brand photographer where
Yes.
I break it down into about 7 emails, and I'm explaining different pieces that's in the guide, but
Yeah.
I took each email and I explained one of those topics in
Mhm.
the from the guide, and I said, "Hey, and just in case, you didn't download it, here's the link again."
Yeah.
Just to keep that camaraderie going and that conversation going. And then every time throughout the email series, I asked to respond to me. Let me know, what do you like? Did you do something? Did you have this already? Did it spark a new idea? And I have them respond to the email. So that's just encouraging more conversation.
100%. So we've kind of gone off track because I wanted to talk much more about websites, but we've been, again, that this is the whole idea where branding is such a massive topic.
Yes.
What are some of the biggest mistakes you see from a website basis that solopreneurs, small service-based companies are making?
Oh, wow. So I would definitely say one is they put everything out there. So if they have 17 different different services, all 17 are on the website. And then it becomes too much.
Yes.
Or they don't talk about enough of their services. So they'll pick 3, but then
Yeah.
they're not saying anything about the 3. They're just giving us a title and a sales button,
Yeah.
but nothing else between the two. So hey,
Yeah.
how does it benefit? Maybe they need their own page to explain a little bit more. Or maybe you can have a series of blog posts explaining the services. Give them a little more insight into
Mhm.
why these services are so important, or why did you pick them, or why should they pick a service from you. And something else that I've noticed is not enough call to actions, if any at all.
Yeah.
They're blended in to the website. They're hidden. And another one is like all the social media stuff is there. So they're taking folks away from the website, and bringing them to social media, which that's not the purpose of the
No.
website, or it shouldn't be.
No.
Websites should be building your credibility online. So that means when Google and Bing and Yahoo are all now looking to say, oh, which website is valuable to people. And when I say valuable, people are staying on long enough that we can track it, we can gauge the time, and they're seeing something useful and they're bouncing from one page to the next within the website. That shows these search engines that you're answering people's questions. You have something that they need. But if you keep sending them back to social media, you're treating your website in essence like a one page short form or expensive landing page. It
Yes.
shouldn't be that.
It's like, what's the funnel? What's the customer journey you're creating? Like for
Correct.
me, it's they start following me on LinkedIn, they like what they hear, or they follow me on YouTube, they like what they hear. Then they go to my website and then they set up a conversation. Like, what is this journey that you're trying to create? And your website should be one of the last steps before they set up a conversation or they buy a product.
Yes, and a lot of times that's another issue. They have no journey. They have
No,
no plans. They have no strategy. So they're creating the website based on, oh, I need a website. And then they didn't put any forethought through it.
no.
So they didn't say, okay, like how you said, I'm on social media. I just did a live on Instagram. I'm sending them to my links. And I'm sending them to my website.
Yeah.
Instead, they're sending them to their ClickFunnels. They're sending them to their Shopify. They're sending them to everything else that does not bring them that longevity. So then when people say, look me up, they look you up and they don't really see that much going on. They're not
No.
seeing blog posts. They're not, that's where a lot of folks can say, look me up, because they have blog posts. They're appearing in other places. They're going to, or they're guests in other people's shows. And that is bringing back traction to their website, or,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So it's like, they're not building that long-term longevity and that sustainability. And that's what your website should be doing. That's how it really builds your visibility over the years. That's where SEO comes into play, because that's the long game. You'll hear
Yes.
people say, no, I need to be on page 1 in 2 days. That's not happening.
No. No. Like, unless you have like the absolute like smallest niche ever. Like, I'm thinking about like Russell Brunson and doing potato guns. Like, yeah, it's
Right.
easy to
But
do it when you
even
have
that, he
something like
had
that.
to, right, even that, they still had to be part of a conversation that was already being had. And people kind of misunderstand when they go to the first page. Yeah, if I look up your website, of course you're on the first page. It's your website. Nobody
Yeah.
else is talking about that. The battle or the gem comes in where, if we're talking about a actual conversation that's being had, like how to increase your sales, how to be better on lives, how, if you're in that conversation and you're climbing up those charts and you're being found on page 1, even page 2, then you're doing something, because they're pulling you into a conversation, or you're able to create your own conversation and make it important enough that other people are talking about the conversations you created.
Yes. And I'm thinking about this specifically with blogging right now.
Mhm.
What are they searching for that will land on their blog? Like, what, like, think about if you're writing something about branding, like what is branding or how to start branding, how do you write that title that will show up there? Like, what would, if they're having a problem that your blog fixed, you have to think of how they're going to search for that too.
Yes. And that's where you get a lot of those keyword and AI softwares that can pull in other conversations and give you an idea of what other titles are being used. So when you're creating your own title, you're still in that realm of, okay, I can easily pop up based on keywords and phrases and titles. But let's not forget, because this is a major issue that Google has been working on, is that now that they're on that blog page, is the conversation you're having worth them staying?
Yes.
Right? So is your content worth it? And that's where the value comes in for Google. As far as Google's concerned, if people are on there and they're not staying long enough, they also start to take you out of that running. So
Yes.
people lose rank as well.
And understanding what the platform is looking for is a very tough thing to really grasp, because like I know LinkedIn particularly just launched templates right now, and right
Mhm.
now they're trying to push that out, so you're getting that little bit more. What is Google looking for when they're looking for blogs? Or they're looking to give people the answers they want, so they don't start going to Bing or DuckDuckGo or Yahoo or any of the other search engines that are blasphemers in a way.
Right. I think that's the main thing because it's always for years. That's the
Mhm.
whole purpose was content. The
Yes.
content that you're having, are you adding to a conversation? That meaning, yes, we're all talking about doing lives, right? But
Yes.
are you adding to it? Are you giving us something new that nobody else has said? So yes, you might have started off with, oh yeah, you can go on live on LinkedIn, and this is how you do it, and these are your dimensions. But what's the extra perk that nobody else talked about? Oh, well, if you get people to stay on your live for 20 minutes, then that gives you an extra boost. That's not true. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just giving you guys
Well,
an example. But if you're giving an extra added umph to the conversation, that means you have, just like with for those who have been doing their masters and their district and their doctorate, when you do a dissertation and you're doing research, you have to now add to the current research that's there. But
yeah,
if you're not adding to anything, then they say that your contribution is not really valid. It's not worth
yeah.
anything.
Yeah. Like, and we keep talking a lot about algorithms and statistics and things like that, but
Mhm.
let's kind of bring it back. The algorithm, you're not there to appease LinkedIn. You're not there to
Correct.
appease Google. They are not the ones paying you. You are there to
Correct.
appease your customers and make them happy.
Right.
So yeah, you start with the customer focus and then get it to fit Google, fit LinkedIn, fit YouTube, but
Mhm.
start from your ideal customer.
Correct. And that's where you're giving them information that they can't find anywhere else.
No.
And that's why they stay on your site longer. They stay with you longer. And within that, you start to recommend different other. So as you're blogging and you're building your content, you can recommend other things on your site
Yes.
within that. So you can say, hey, check out my services if you're ready, or
Yeah.
check out this blog post if you want to learn more information about this topic, or I mentioned about something here, check it out on this blog
Mhm,
post. Oh, hey, I have a page dedicated to this, or I have resources. That's
mhm,
how you get people now to stay on your website but go to
mhm.
different pages.
Yes. So let's kind of go because I know we got to cut off. What are you working on now? Where do you want people to go to find you?
Well, I am, of course, working on building out more of my shows. So you can definitely find me on LinkedIn, where I do Real Talk Live with Carl Sean Watkins. I also do Sip and Chat with Sri Mahabir. And I am working on getting my own blog as a audio. So hopefully that can be launched early next year. But of course, if you are ready to have your strategy where I can sit down with you and we can map out what your website should be doing, head on over to my website, brooklyn.customdesigns.com/strategy. And let's have a strategy session together where we're actually building out something, not just talking about it, but I'll help you build it out. So that's BKLYN Custom Designs.com/strategy.
One sec. I'm going to put it up because I should have done it before, but I'm so BKLYN customdesigns.com, add banner. Boom. There we go. I got it
Yes,
right.
yes, yes.
I don't know why I was not thinking about doing that before, but it's just a generic brain fart, and it's part of why we do lives, is so that you can see that I'm not perfect and I'm more than just a pretty face.
Yeah. But
So,
yes, have fun with your website. Don't be afraid to adjust your strategy because that's what you should be doing, right?
yeah,
As your goals change, so should your strategy, and your website should be accommodating for that.
absolutely, 100%. No, this has been awesome. Obviously, I love talking to you because this is like
Yes,
the third show we've done together. So, and third of likely many. So,
yes, yes.
obviously, love this talk. Everybody, Brooklyn Custom Designs, see what she did with her website. I love it, obviously. Like, I love the pictures. I love how personalized it is. You're much better at using your own pictures than I am. I use way too many stock photos because no one wants to see too much of this. But yes. But no, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for
Just
having me.
yes, everybody, let's fix live. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week.